I'm Bruce Cox, I'm the chair. And this meeting is now being recorded, so keep your jokes clean. So first item on the agenda are the minutes of the November 2nd, 2020. I guess I did the continue button meeting. Have people had an opportunity to review those and approve them?
I have.
Yep.
Any
I'd
comments at all?
like to make a motion to accept them as they are
Second.
revised.
Paul Duarte and Andy Sumberg already. So on a roll call vote, which is what we have to do, working our way backwards, we'll start off on I'm working on the last time's minutes. Jason Claremont.
Aye.
Phyllis.
Okay.
We don't have Charles.
Aye.
Paul.
Well,
You made the motion. Andy
yes.
made the motion. So, but Paul, we still need a vote.
Yes.
Andy.
Aye.
Greg.
Yes.
David. Dave Stewart, are you unmuted? You approve the minutes?
Yes, I approve.
Okay, and
I approve.
I also vote approval, so it's unanimous.
Yes.
I'd like a motion, please, to change the sequence on the agenda from public comments now to go to the aquaculture application, which is item number G1. It's CRMC preliminary determination file 2020-10-068. Can I have a motion on that, please?
I second that.
So you made the motion, Paul. I didn't hear a second motion.
All right. I second it if he made the motion.
Okay. All those in favor? Again, on the roll call vote, this is a pain. Jason Claremont.
Aye.
Phyllis.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
Greg. David.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So now we're on item number G1, the CRMC aquaculture preliminary determination 2020-10-068. This is actually also the CRMC's hearing, if you will, or a public presentation of this. So at this point, I'll let Ben Goach take over and introduce his proposal and let the gentlemen who are making the proposal explain what they want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Do I have the ability to share screen here? I should have asked this ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay. I've got a green button. Let me try. I'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just as a way of introduction to where we are in this process with this application. This is the flow chart of the normal life of an application. So as you can see, it starts here with a preliminary determination, and that is the initial review with the town, sometimes Coast Guard, DEM, Army Corps, and various other agencies that may have taken interest in the application. As you can see, the result of this meeting will be recommendations to the applicant. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So the purpose of this meeting is to find recommendations to the applicant regarding the feasibility and prospects of this application. He will then, after he receives a report that I make based on this meeting, he will proceed to a full application, in which case there will be another 30-day public notice period, as you can see on the far left, as well as various other requirements. But during that 30-day public notice, the town and any other interested group or agency is certainly welcome to comment as well. And if anybody wants to get a copy of this preliminary determination report once it's completed, I'd be happy to share that with the commission.
I would like that, please.
Yes.
So
All right.
I'll share with the commission.
Yeah, and yes, and Bruce, I have your contact info. I will definitely keep you in the loop on that.
Right, thank you.
And so I guess we can go right into the application now. Now we got that out of the way. So can you see this map here?
I can.
Okay, so this is a general location of this proposal. As you can see, it's in Sakonnet River, just north of Seapowet Point. And if I scroll down, I believe we have a better map here. Yes, so this is a close-up map of the site. The hashed area that you can see that hugs the shoreline is the DEM recreational shellfishing layer in the marine fisheries map. So that represents some degree of perhaps recreational fishing activity or use in the past. As you can see, the site is located outside that area, and it is about 200 feet from the shoreline at this location, and also 200 feet from, I believe, the jetty that is nearby here, which is presently obscured by one of the coordinate markers. But you can see that jetty is here. So this is a layout of the farm. Apologize if it's sideways, but these would be the rows of floating cages that they propose, floating cages and trays, and there's about 20 cages per line here. And these squiggle lines here are trawls of bottom trays. The applicants are proposing of growing oysters in floating gear, cultivating them on the surface, and then putting the markets in the bottom cages before they're ready for market. CRMC supports this. It helps with certain Vibrio controls in the summer that regard to air drying. These floating cages are able to be flipped over and dried. I think if I scroll down, we can have another. Yeah, so here's some cross sections of the gear. You can see in the floating position. These cages will be sunk in the winter, so you can see them here in the bottom, flipped upside down. And likewise, these cages will periodically be turned upside down at the surface to expose the oysters to air drying and desiccation, which is a means of fouling control that's been proven to be very effective in labor saving. So with that, that's just kind of the quick overview of this application. Bring it back up again to here, and maybe this nautical, the NOAA chart here, just to give all the commission members to get their bearings as to the area we're talking about. So as you know, we had a recent application further south that is still pending. That's the Bone application is down here for 1 acre. And also nearby right now, we have, I believe it's a 2 or 3 acre lease by Carl Berg, which is just to the north of this area. But I'll stop a share there and give the applicants, Brad and Travis. This is Brad Beohringer and Travis Lundgren, an opportunity to introduce themselves and say a few words.
Guys. Well, I just want to introduce ourselves. My name is Travis, and I live that spot over there. I've been fishing for a long time. I've been doing the oyster farming thing for 7 years. I've been working in Galilee since I was 13, so I've been down there for 15 years. But we really enjoy that spot over there. We like the that we're going to go for because we don't really want to go. We don't really want to spend too much time in the labor over there working on the farm. We want to spend our time over in the Point Judith farm working on seed that we'll be bringing over there. So we're kind of proposing an idea that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Am I the only one that can't hear?
He's in and out, Paul.
In and out, yeah.
Hey, Travis, I think you just gotta sit forward and not move around as much.
Yeah, you guys may want to take turns speaking close to the camera.
Okay. Try again. All right. Well, hi. So I think the big thing about the lease that we're applying for over there is we're going for the floating gear, which I think is something that a lot of people are going to have questions about. And the reason why we're going for the floating gear is because we're trying to set up a farm where we don't grow as many oysters as we possibly can on the lease, but we try to grow the best quality oyster, and we try to grow something that we don't have to spend so much labor and so much equipment cleaning gear and kind of making a mess and making a noise over in the spot. I really like the particular spot over there. I tried to pick a spot where I didn't think there was going to be a lot of recreational things going on. The beach right there is not a place where anyone can walk onto or access because it's a shoreline that I think is protected for the birds. And then there's no properties directly in front of the lease. There's one 3-unit or a 3-building property that's to the north of where we're applying, but there's nothing right out on the shoreline right where we are. There's a farm there, and then there's Autobahn land that's to the south of our lease application. So I tried to pick a spot where I didn't think there was going to be too many people. We liked the shape of the farm that we were applying for because we wanted to set up a farm where we could potentially have lines that were spaced far apart. So when we were out there working, we weren't going to end up having our boat get blown over on top of other lines and have lines cross, as those things tend to happen if it gets windy and the gear moves a little bit with the slack in the lines. So there's a few reasons why we wanted to go for that type of spot. But I guess we're here to kind of answer any questions that you guys might have. I'm not quite sure what type of questions you might have. Brad might have a little bit more to say about our particular spot. But in terms of me personally, I've been in the fishing industry since I was 13 years old. So I've been down in Galilee for 16 years. I've been oyster farming for 7 years for the Salt Pond Oyster Company for Dave Roebuck. And I kind of spend more of my time growing the seed, growing the small oysters. For years, we've grown lots of small oysters for the Matunic Oyster Bar and for other farms, and we've sold them to other farms to grow to adults, taken a few oysters ourselves to adult size. And that's kind of where my expertise is, and that's the equipment that I have geared towards kind of making the business work with Brad. Brad, I can tell you a little bit more about what he does, but he spends his time working on adult oysters. He owns the Rocky Road Oyster Farm right now, and we were looking to kind of have a business where we work together and use our strengths.
Cutting out there.
Travis, you need to be centered on your computer.
Well, this may be a good time to see what questions the commission might have.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you guys can hear me clearly, I'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we're here. But yeah, we're here to answer any questions, any confusions that you guys might have, or curiosities with how the process is done. We really like the area, like Travis was saying, over in Seapowet. We really believe that it's a area with very little user conflict, which is important, as I've seen working in the industry for a bit. And I think that's probably our biggest concern, and probably the most important reason to have the meeting today is seeing what you guys in the Harbor Commission really consider to be kind of the vital or important takeaways for us as we possibly can continue pursuing this application.
Right. Do you have any photographs of the cages that you're talking about, actual pictures versus the hand scratch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you
I'll share my screen again. There's some in the application here, which I went out. A copy of it went out with the notice. So if anybody has the email handy, you can pull it up there too.
Yeah.
So let me see. All right. So yeah, the photographs I believe are up at the top. All right.
Bruce, can I ask a question? I don't have a
Yeah, I understand
file
that.
list, and I can't
Sure.
share. I don't have on my screen. So I just need to ask a couple of questions about its location. Is this the same farm that was going to be located on the south side of the Seapowet Bridge?
No, this is a totally different application, Paul. That other one is currently working its way through the process. We'll be going to, I believe, to the full coastal CRMC board. We haven't received notice of that yet, though.
Okay. Now, exactly, then, can somebody explain to me, you said Seapowet Point. I don't know exactly what point you're talking about, and I don't have a marker of Seapowet Point in my mind. So can you kind of try to explain to me where?
Sure.
Where
So you know where the Bowen application was that we discussed previously, near the bridge?
Near the bridge, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go north from there. We're gonna follow that coastline as it goes towards the west, and around the point where it starts jogging back east. Around the point, they're just north of there, about 200 feet off the shore.
Okay.
It's before you get to the jetty, the stone jetty. It's about 200 feet.
Okay.
Southwest from the jetty.
Yeah.
It's inside rather Nun 10, Paul.
Okay. Is that that's not going to block off the access, is it? To block off the access to that for people who want to access, like with small boats and things,
kayaking and such.
to the
Well, so the
Audubon area there.
No, it's far from that. It's far from the Audubon property. I mean, it's 200 feet off the shoreline. It gives. I was just there the other week actually, and there appears to be ample room to navigate around the lease. It's long and skinny.
Okay.
So I mean, a power boat probably wouldn't be able to traverse it unless they were going in between the lines, because the lines are all parallel. But certainly a kayak. If you wanted to, you could probably get through the gear.
Yeah. All right, I got a better understanding of its location. I just, I wish I had a picture in front of me that showed at least the coordinates in the GPS coordinates. If I had those, I could pop them into my Google Earth and see exactly where you were. But since I don't have those, I'll have to imagine.
Paul, if you go back to my email, November 17th, I sent out.
Yeah, I couldn't open that. I couldn't open that file.
Bruce, this is Andy. I've got it mapped in both Google Earth and OpenCPN. If
you do?
That would help.
That would help. That would help me tremendously if you have it in OpenCPN.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Whoops.
I can't. I'm not on the screen. That's my problem.
You're not? Okay, well, I can send it to you if you'd like.
That would be wonderful.
It probably wouldn't hurt for me to share my screen anyway, because there is an interesting sort of nuance.
Okay, I'd like to see that, and then we'll come back to these pictures.
Okay. Let's see if it'll work now. Sure.
Hey, Brad and Travis, while he's pulling that up, can you just speak really quickly to how you'll be accessing the site?
Yeah, so we'll be accessing it. I'm going to get a slip up there in between the two bridges in one of the marinas, and then I'll just be taking a Carolina.
Travis, you gotta stay centered on your computer and forward.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you gotta stay centered and close to it.
Okay. Well, I have a Carolina skiff, a 21-foot Carolina skiff that I'm going to end up putting in between the two bridges in one of the marinas over there in a slip. And then I'm going to go out and the idea is to set things up so that we don't have to bring a bunch of bags in and out. We don't have to be moving so much gear in and out. We don't have to bring power washers and things like that out there all the time to be cleaning gear. The idea is that the floating gear, when we flip it, it cleans itself pretty well for quite a long period of time. And so it saves labor. It saves boats and people out there for you guys. And it's a better deal for us. And so if I get a slip up there in one of the marinas, then we'll be able to access the lease easily. It's only about 1.8 miles from there. So
Thank you.
the idea Travis was getting at, if you guys can hear me, with that is the purpose for the system that we're doing, and it's a model that's been used by quite a few farms. It's been pretty productive and successful in the state, and it doesn't really involve a whole lot of what I would call like dock storage space. Whereas like you can go to other farm areas around the state where the guys operating the boats not only have boats, but they have been storing different gear for the next day's work or drying stuff off from the previous day's work. And it kind of has a bigger footprint that expands and takes up space in the local community that you would typically expect. It's really easy if you have a nice storage yard or a private property right on or the coastline near where you're going to be working. But that's obviously not the case for us at the moment. And the idea is that with the system we've created, we will hopefully have a very low impact on whatever, obviously the space that we're in, but then the space where we're housing our boat, where we're docking, and where we're operating, bringing our staff in and out. It's very much, like I said, we're trying to make as little impact as possible on the space.
I think we don't want to be a burden on the marina, just as much as we don't want to be a burden on the area for people going around it. So we're kind of, we're very conscious about leaving that small footprint, just kind of speaking more to what Brad's saying. You can hear me?
Yep, thank you. That's much better, by the way. So Andy, you had said there's an interesting nuance with regard to the location.
Yeah, I think it's a small thing, but if you look, this is open CPN, and if you see, I've actually got two grids here. One of them is marked by 4 green dots, and the other one's marked by 4 red dots. The green dots are the actual coordinates that you supplied. The red dots is actually what I picked off of the chart that has the red drawing on it. And so my assumption is that what you ultimately are planning to do is what the coordinates say, which are the green dots. And if you notice, all of that goes on the far side of the 8-foot depth mark. And I'm just asking if that's correct.
Yeah, we apologize. That was one of the first maps that we had put together. We wanted to throw something together quick, with the red square.
Okay.
Definitely green. Yeah.
And so, exactly what the distance from shore is, I suppose, depends on what tide you're talking about. But it looks to me like we're talking about, whoops, why do I keep moving the chart here?
100 meters or more.
All right, so basically we're talking about 143 meters. 130. Okay, so about 135 meters from shore, which is about 400 feet, maybe 420, somewhere in there. So, I was just curious about that nuance, but frankly, I don't think that's much of an issue. What I think is more interesting is that it looks like if there's going to be, if there is a farm to the north of you, and I don't know the coordinates for that farm, and there's also a proposal for a farm south of you. And the one thing I have no sense of is how many farms can go along this area of Seapowet Point before it becomes a problem. I think everybody has noticed that it's not a very heavily populated area at all. Once again, here are the two grids, the green one being the coordinates. And this is the area that we're talking about, and it's really not very populated at all. From my perspective, seems like a pretty good location. And then I just wonder whether at the end of the day, there might just end up being too many.
Ben, I got a question. Do you have the coordinates for the farm that's to the north of this?
Oh, yeah, of course. I had no idea you guys didn't have that. I imagined it would have gone through your review through the normal process of an aquaculture application in Tiverton, which should have gotten the coordinates to you.
It may have, but it's long ago, and it's, you know.
I can certainly share them with you. It's easy enough. It's also all aquaculture leases in the state can be seen on the DEM Marine Fisheries Map.
I probably should have done that then.
Yeah.
So
It is on the DEM made coordinate map that we had that was to scale. If that's
Yeah. So the coordinates for these farms
Needed.
are generally plotted by DEM in coordination with the applicant and myself. But the final numbers usually come from DEM for, you know, to ensure accuracy and that they're mapped, you know, consistently.
Mhm. So
How close are those farms gonna be together? How far apart from each other?
I think that was Tyler. Tyler, you sounded garbled.
To say the least. Yeah.
No.
not
No.
I think you're a character in Lord of the Rings.
it's on partial mute, if that makes a difference. I don't know if that's going against you.
Mr. Rice, could you try to unmute Tyler, please? He's the gentleman who's operating.
No.
No.
No, Tyler, it's still pretty staticky.
Yeah, you might have better luck calling in.
Yeah. In the meantime, you know, there are a couple of other parties here that CRMC would like to hear their viewpoints quickly, and I'm sure they.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'd like to go back to the pictures of the cages if we could, please.
Sure, no problem.
And I didn't hear an answer to Andy's question about the number of farms that can be supported in a given geographic area. Can somebody address that, please?
Yeah, so there's that question could be answered in any number of ways. Biologically speaking, there is, you know, in that small area, in that area along the shoreline, you could put oyster farms, you know, back to back, and it would have probably no real negative effect on the ecology there. So the real question is you know, it's an issue of what they call sometimes social carrying capacity. This is something that was addressed in the salt ponds with the 5% rule. So we've capped aquaculture development in the salt ponds to 5% of the water body. In a body like the Sakonnet River, 5% probably would be, you know, quite a bit of area. We currently have no regulations that would limit development in a certain area. All applications are heard on their merits, and, you know, cumulative effects are definitely considered at a certain point. We've had areas that have reached what you might call a saturation area, and we don't have any further applications supported in those areas by CRMC. This would be like the area of Rome Point, North Kingstown. While there's nothing to this effect yet in the Dutch Island Harbor of Jamestown, just practically speaking, there's not a lot of room for more aquaculture there. Both those areas, I think, are markedly different than the Sakonnet River and how they offer protection to the farmer from the elements. I think the amount of farms that could be cited there is an open question. Each farm will go through this process. The best answer I have.
So in theory, you could have farms stretching up and down the Sakonnet the full length of the Tiverton shore.
I don't believe that would probably be appropriate for many of those areas. We've already seen applications that have been proposed in Tiverton that have been withdrawn due to problems with them.
Mm-hmm. We had that up at the north end in the Seapowet Cove over by Jack's Island. That one was withdrawn. Okay.
I'm sorry. Which application was that?
That was the one that was being.
Are you talking about the commercial viability permit?
Right. Those
yes,
two.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was referring to. Yes.
Right. Could we go back to the pictures, please?
Yeah. I might share screen. Hold on.
And Tyler's question is how close is this new farm to the farm that's to the north? What's the distance between them?
It's quite a distance. If you give me a moment, I could pull up the marine fisheries map and give you an idea. Right now, can you see the pictures of the gear?
Right.
Okay, so the top picture, that is what you might call an oyster grow cage. We also refer to them as large profile floating cages, given that the pontoons seen here can rise about maybe 14 inches above the surface of the water. This amount of buoyancy allows you to grow a fair number of oysters in one cage, and it also gives you enough buoyancy to float the cage when it's inverted. And so it rests on the pontoons with the oysters in the air, which, as we mentioned, is an important technique for floating gear. The smaller cage in the middle is, I think, what you, Travis and Brad refer to as a floating tray. It's very similar in concept, just smaller. It can hold less oysters, but also the floats are smaller, so they have less of a profile on still water, more like 4 inches as opposed to 14 inches. And then at the very bottom, we have the bottom gear. It's like a bottom tray that you would not see. It's on the bottom of the ocean, and it would be attached with something that would look like a lobster pot trawl. Those are the 3 kinds of gear that are proposed for this site. The first 2, the floating cages, are for the cultivation of the oysters. The bottom gear, the applicants are proposing to use as a place to put their full-size market oysters, kind of as a place to store them. And I think that's a good idea.
So in terms of the floating cages, the pontoons that we're seeing in the top picture, those can be as high as 14 inches tall?
Yeah, so where you see, as you see it there, floating from the surface of the water, some of the pontoon is submerged, but it's probably rising maybe about a foot above the water. You can see in the distance some of the other ones, and that's how they're linked together in a chain like that. And the
Is
chain
this the farm here in the area?
This is their current farm in Point Judith Pond.
Are there lights on them for at night?
No, not in this particular area. They're in a secluded cove that does not see a lot of traffic. We do stipulate for floating gear, specifically in Narragansett Bay, that the shoreward boundary markers have solar-powered lights on them, and like high flyers as well. So you'd have multiple aids to navigation at night in that case.
You said the shoreward ones or the outboard ones? Because that's,
I'm sorry, I said seaward. Yeah, the outboard, the seaward ones, the ones farthest from shore, to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah. And if need be, all corners would be. It would be based upon the navigational concerns of the area.
Because you're relatively close to the navigable channels. You're just inside an N10.
So I can bring up the map, and we can see the lay of the land as it stands now with the other applications. I see Anna Gerber-Williams is on. She is a DEM representative who does a lot of this mapping. Anna, have we mapped the PD polygon for this application?
So I have not mapped that PD polygon at the moment.
That's all right. I think
I'm sorry. Yeah, it hasn't made it
an
onto.
idea for what it is.
Yeah, it hasn't made it onto. I don't think it's made it onto the online map yet.
Oh wait, no, not CRMC.
No.
Next time I'll have this preloaded. Just give me a second.
We're all learning Zoom.
Yeah.
Point of order, did I see Anna with a baby? Should I list the baby in the minutes as an attendee?
Yeah, childcare these days.
Yeah, tell me about it. Okay, so can everyone see the area now?
Yes, what is that red box?
That is the existing Berg lease. That is
Okay.
Carl Berg's lease. The proposed lease is here.
Yep.
Roughly speaking, where my cursor is moving back and forth. And then this blue square here, that is the Bowen application. I can put this onto a navigational chart if that makes things a little clearer for everyone.
That's good.
Yeah. And I can even do stuff like this. Right. Make an overlay, transparent overlay, like that. So yeah, so the application would be here. I mean, practically speaking, to address your other question about how many farms could go here, you know, these farms are going to want to tuck themselves in from whatever cover they can find, you know, with whatever cover they can find to get in the lee of prevailing weather or whatnot. So, you know, for it to wrap around the whole area here, I'm not particularly certain. The Bowen application was also a different kind of gear. There are many different kinds of aquaculture you can adapt to different conditions.
Can you give me a rough estimate on the distance between the two?
Yeah, so see, this is going to be pretty rough because I'm just going to go by my knowledge of where it is from the jetty. So it's going to be somewhere, looks like probably at least maybe around 500 feet, my guess. Something like that, maybe.
So the people who own the jetty will have ready access to the channel and such.
Yeah, I think the application noted that they're about 200 feet away from the jetty. When I was there just last week, I did a survey of the area. There seemed to be ample room. There were 2 moorings I noted that were both near the jetty, not you know, on the proposed farm area, but between the farm and the jetty, it seemed. I'm not sure what the status of those are, but they're, you know, probably riparian moorings or something like that.
Hey, Bruce, I just wanted to say that when I made this shape over there, I did want to give those people with that jetty access so they could go out to the northwest and to the southwest to go along the coast. I wanted to make sure that they had room to do whatever they wanted to do still over there. That was definitely part of the lease.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that spot there. I wanted to make sure that they could still come out and go around their jetty if they want, and they could still go down and go towards the marsh if they wanted to kayak down there or whatever they wanted to do down there. So that was a conscious decision that we made when we thought about that.
Smart idea.
So on this screen, you can see how close this is actually the Carl Berg lease here. You can see faintly outlined. So in the scale here, that's about 575 feet. So I think an estimation of about 500 feet is probably pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Well, football, almost 2 football fields.
Right.
It's a good way of looking at it.
Well, that's what my mind thinks. That's how it helps me to visualize.
So when you invert the cages and the black part of the pontoon is down, the bottom part is full of growth, correct? Full of oysters growing with any luck?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And what kind of detritus do you expect on the bottom? What kind of growth do you experience on that?
It's often soft growth, soft algae. Depending on the area, sometimes you might get a juvenile mussel set, maybe barnacles. The idea is you do this, you know, weekly, every other week, to keep the oysters clean. So they never get really too fouled. You know, you dry them for like a day and then flip them back over.
if we're doing our job properly, there will be little to no growth visible.
Mm-hmm. And so your objective is not to have to come out there with any kind of equipment or power washers, that sort of thing.
Yeah. If you see other farms that don't necessarily have the ability to do the flipping and drying, they spend a lot more time out on their farms, trying to deal with the overgrowth of the algae. It becomes the primary kind of labor that can become, like we were saying, is like we're not trying to be out there every day, all day long, making noise. And the goal here is you set it, you let them dry, you leave it for a day or two, and you come back. You harvest another day, you come back, and we're not trying to spend 12 hours out there.
No,
we're not trying to cause. We don't want to be a pain. Yeah.
I think, Bruce, if you ever seen maybe a farm like the Matunic Oyster Farm, you'll see that they have a huge crew of people. They might have 15, 20 people working all at once, and they'll have multiple boats. They have, they're all over the place. They're back and forth, shuffling people in and out. We're trying to have one boat go out and flip some bags, and we're trying to have it be flipped frequently enough for that there is none of that growth. We don't want to see it just as much as anybody else wants to see it, because that just makes our lives harder. So we're going to go out there and we're going to work it, and we're going to make sure that growth doesn't happen on those cages.
Mm-hmm.
That makes our jobs honestly much harder. It requires more equipment, more labor. So the whole point of that gear is to not have all that equipment and not have all that labor and still be able to grow a really nice product. That's kind of the benefit to having the floating gear like that.
Right.
To be working that farm all winter?
Where was that at?
That was Paul DeWart of the commission asking.
Yeah, I was just asking, are they going to be working the farm through the winter?
So the process that we'll be doing will be very different in the winter. So the oysters won't necessarily be growing at a rate that we would need to be flipping them. It's really likely that we'll be submerging the majority of the cages. And it would be probably a harvest only type work week. So it'd probably be, I can't say for certain, but it would probably be 1 or 2 days a week at the most, 2 days. That we're going out just to pull up what Ben referred to kind of as lobster trawl trays to pull out our markets that we've stashed away for the year.
I had one other question too, if you could. Where will you be taking your catch? Where will you be unloading the catch? And what size of catch do you expect to have? Like bushels? How many bushels, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's tough to gauge right now what we'll be able to pull in. We typically measure the oysters in bags, not necessarily bushels. So we bring them in 100-count bags. Could be anywhere from like 10 bags at a time to 20 to 30 to 40. It really is something that fills up a couple fish totes of size. There's no cranes involved of heavy lifting.
Well, because I only know of one fish market left in the town of Tiverton, and he doesn't really have an unloading point. In the old Manchesters, they used to unload catch there all the time, but there's not too many places in Tiverton. So to unload a catch, from a good haul of these bags, if you will. I was just wondering where you were plan to do that.
Yeah, sure thing. It's very different. We kind of, instead of offloading to fish markets, we're through the Department of Health, we're permitted to kind of offload and harvest and kind of transport the shellfish ourselves. And like I said, it's only several fish totes of product. And it's kind of carrying several coils of rope back from the boat to the truck. So we will be unloading at the marina where we are.
Okay.
But it'll all be contained, tagged, bagged product that's accounted for.
Yeah.
It's a very finished product the moment that it returns to the marina.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would just like to interject here because I appreciate the commission's time, but I also have two other colleagues here on the call that I'd like to get their impressions real quick. One, Anna Gerber-Williams from DEM, and also Alicia Wilson from Army Corps of Engineers. So Anna, do you have any comments right now?
Yeah, so I'd just like to say that Brad and Travis did reach out to me when they were figuring out their site location. And so I worked with them on figuring out a location that was a minimal impact to any important marine fisheries habitat that we're concerned about. And so it was very appreciative that they came to us to work with us on that. So I just want to make mention of that. Marine fisheries and our Department of Fish and Wildlife usually write a joint letter about these applications. Fish and Wildlife could not participate this evening, so I just want to let you know they'll be sending a letter with their comments to you that are separate from mine. And so they might have some comments regarding waterfowl in that area. But on the marine fisheries side, we don't really have any concerns. As I said, they reached out to talk to me initially. So just a couple of comments you may hear from, I don't know if you've talked to any commercial fishermen who set traps in that area. I don't know how heavily that area is used for setting traps, but you may want to just keep that in mind. Accessibility to the shoreline for setting different kinds of traps like conch traps. So I just want you to keep that in mind. And then also you may hear comments about recreational fishing, not shell fishing, but fin fishing. So just a heads up on those things. But when it comes to Division of Marine Fisheries, we don't have any concerns regarding this site and the location.
Thank you, Anna. Oh, sorry, anything? Do you have anything else to add there?
No, that's it. So if you guys have any questions as you go through this process for this application, also please feel free to reach out and let me know.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So I would say, to back up Anna's comment about commercial fishing, I did notice at least one conch pot, I assume it was a conch pot, close to shore, pretty close to shore, between the proposed lease and where you are. It was closer to shore than it was to your lease. I didn't see any pots in the marked area. Just so the commission members know, the applicants are required to set buoys at the corners of the proposed area. So if any of you get out on the water, you go to this area, you'll see 4 white buoys that mark the corners.
Yeah, we just to mention on the commercial fishing comment, we went out in probably the first or second week of October when kind of the conch season seemed to be pretty heavily involved. We went out there and we saw that there was a trawl. It seemed like one individual boat trap set, and kind of on the map, the DM map that you made for us and you guys all saw tonight on the screen share, in the gridded area that is like the DM recommended shell fishing area, at least for recreation. That's where the pots were found, and we kind of consciously made a space more room our lease and a gridded area that you guys can consider in order to allow just a little bit extra wiggle room and kind of try to stay away from any possible concerns or complaints, and try to be proactive on that instead of responsive.
Yeah, and as far as the shellfish resource there, I did do my survey. I found 1 quahog and a juvenile whelk, small whelk, maybe a couple inches long, and so not a lot of resource there that I could tell. With that, I just want to keep conscious of.
Can I interrupt? What's a whelk?
A whelk?
Yeah,
it's a large snail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's not like a conch.
They call it conch, but it's technically a whelk here. Yeah.
Okay.
But Alicia, I know you're on the line. If you have anything to add, I just want to check in and give you opportunity to do so. You'll be with this application through its whole life cycle. So
one thing, Tyler is communicating with me by chat because his Wi-Fi is bad, but he wants to make sure that the applicants know that they got to really thoroughly mark the corners, perhaps with lighted buoys, because this corner is cut by people in center consoles and such quite a bit. They come inside, they don't bother going out to the channel marker because it's decent enough water for their engines and such, so that you're not finding yourself with destroyed gear and pissed off people.
yeah, no, I would say that it's almost a certainty that if this application makes it to approval, it will be stipulated they will have to have the appropriate lighted markers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just to go further on that, Bruce, we're also thinking about putting buoys alongside the long way of the farm on the outer side, just to mark off the line kind of as you kind of go down it on your boat, just to make sure nobody accidentally crosses into it as they're going along it.
Right.
That was another thing. So it wasn't just the corners. We were also thinking about the length of it. Maybe putting a few markers along the way that were also highlighter colored, or if you wanted lights on them, something like that. So that was kind of also an idea, because we don't, like you said, that gear's expensive and we don't want to lose any of it. We don't want to have anybody destroy it. We don't, just like they don't want to destroy their boats.
Right.
So yeah, so whatever makes it the most visible is what we're going to want to do anyways. So just,
would be beneficial.
yeah.
Right. Do any commission members have any questions that haven't been addressed at this point in time?
No.
Any commission members have any comments that they care to make at this point in time?
I think at one of the previous applications, I asked the question, I guess it's standard, but I'll ask it again anyways. I guess the guarantees in case the business goes bad, how does the area get cleaned up? And I thought there was a requirement to have some kind of a bond so that there's a fund available to clean it up if something happens. Is that correct?
Indeed, yes, that's standard practice. Is a minimum of a $5,000 performance bond that we like to see, effective for at least 3 years. Floating gear such as this type would probably come with a $20,000 surety bond, and that's and if for some reason the farm is revoked, they have 60 days to clean out the site. If that doesn't happen after 60 days, then we trigger the bond and have the work done.
I'm gonna let the meeting go. I can kind of listen to the meeting. You left the meeting? No, it's right here. I got a meeting right here.
All right.
For that, David, you're off mute.
Sorry.
Hey, this is Alicia with the Army Corps. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Alicia.
Hi. I just have a few quick questions. I don't want to take up too much time. Really nice application, Brad and Travis. Thanks for putting on the number of gear and the dimensions on there. So I just have a few questions for my review with for the Army Corps permit. For the winter portion, when you sink the gear, is there any seasonal gear, i.e. will you be removing anything when you sink the floating trays and cages?
No, there's no intention to remove anything.
Okay, great. For the cross-section view, for the mean low water and mean high water, the cross-section view plan. Is that 10 feet mean low water and then 4 additional feet mean high water? Could you put those abbreviations on your plan when you submit?
Yeah.
I just need, okay.
Do that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just need to make sure I know exactly the mean high water and mean low water there. Okay. Would you also stick the substrate type on? And it can be super simple as sand, cobble, silt, mud, or clay, something like that.
Yeah,
What
sure
substrate is there? Okay. And then, so my last thing is the number of vertical lines is, let's see, I see 172. Are each bottom tray connected to a vertical line as well as the horizontal trawl line? Or where does that 172 come in?
You're asking if, so vertical versus horizontal, there shouldn't be any horizontal. I'm not sure. Yeah, it depends which way you're looking at that. Vertical versus horizontal line.
It's on your plans. It says total vertical lines 172.
Oh, vertical being, from the depth above. Okay, from the floor to the.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're asking, what was the question again? Sorry.
Is the number so high because each bottom tray is connected with a vertical line? And if not, why is that so much higher than, say, the number of gear or the lines, right? So we've got 28 lines of floating cages and 14 trawls. So I'm just trying to get an idea where the 172 is coming from.
Yes, but the trawl lines have one vertical line on either end. So each trawl line is 2 vertical lines. Kind of just like 2 power line poles. And then the line across is strung and sits down at the bottom on the seafloor. And then the same with the floating trays and cages.
So does that,
yeah.
Wouldn't that mean that there would be 84 vertical lines?
I'll have to look that over because we thought that we computed that properly, but
yeah, your plan should be. Yeah, so I definitely am going to recommend to you guys that your plans be clear and detailed as to the things that Alicia needs, like vertical and horizontal lines.
Okay.
So just you're going to have to figure out how to do that in a way that's clear and accurate.
Yeah, that's something that we'll definitely do, and then look for commentary before finally submitting something.
Okay. Yeah, what you have here is a lot better than some of the other plans that I've seen. I just wanted to check on that one number because it seems higher than what it should be. And if it was that each bottom tray was connected to a vertical line, I was going to see if that could be, reduced because that might have some problems with national marine fisheries.
Yeah, there's a chance that somewhere I put that in. I think that's what happens when we try to condense too much information onto a small sheet. So we'll try to make we'll make that much more clear in the next one.
Okay, great.
There will be no vertical line from tray to the surface.
Okay, good. That's good. And then that last, if you do end up going with the additional buoys, if you make that decision, before you're submitting the application, make sure to add that on there because I need to know the total number of buoys.
Yeah, gotcha. Most definitely.
And just for the Nope, sorry.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that's everything. I think you did a nice job in everything that I need, which is really just permitting the structures and lines that are there.
Great, thank you, Alicia.
So I'm good.
Just for the commission's reference, the reason why Army Corps cares about vertical lines and horizontal lines, it's because they have to do consultations with NOAA and marine fisheries, and they look at these things as potential entanglement hazards for protected species and other things like that. So they just want to make sure that they're minimizing any potential negative impacts. Just so you know, there has been very few documented entanglements of really any kind of animals in aquaculture gear, but it's something that we do consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from members of the board? If not, I'll open up to public. If we have any public, I can't see participants. We have 16 on deck, so.
Bruce, this is Andy. I've got one comment. I've mapped all of the town moorings from an old list that I had from a while ago, and it's not complete and it's not up to date. But I just overlaid the mooring map that I have on top of the aquaculture proposal site, and there's nothing even close by on the map that I've got. Now, I know that Tyler has issued some new moorings since that list was put together. But from the old list that I have, there seems to be nothing in the way.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Andy.
Yep.
And I'm seeing a Jules option Himmel.
Yeah, I don't have any comments, just listening.
Okay. And I think that is it. Oops. Cameron Ennis. All right.
No comment.
All right. And then I see that it looks like Chip has joined us. I think that's Chip Lawrence. Is that Chip Lawrence there?
I'm here.
Ah, welcome. So that's good for the minutes. I don't know when you joined us, but add him in. Add him in, Greg. All right. So we have no further comments by the commission and no further questions. It's time for an appropriate motion to make comments and recommendations. Would anyone care to start?
Well, I'll say something, Mr. Paul Duarte. It sounds like a good plan. I don't have anything in front of me because I can't get into the computer Zoom thing, but I hope somebody would, Bruce, when you get all the information, if you could mail that to me or email that to me so I can download it and review it and get even a better understanding. I think I understand what's going on, and it all sounds good to me. But let's see what everybody else's comments are.
Sure, Paul. In the future, if you get a package from me that you can't open, call me at the office. No problem making a print and dropping it in the mail.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anybody else wants to make comments or a appropriate motion at this point?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment. I think, from the little bit we know, it seems pretty well thought out. I also think that, taking the steps to, talk to fisheries and put together a permit that is sitting pretty well with Army Corps bodes pretty well. So I'd like to make a motion, for favorable recommendation from the commission.
Do I have a second?
I would second that motion.
Dave Stewart had seconded that. Any further comments from any of the members? Any modifications of just a straight up forward favorable recommendation? My comments on it are that I think it's a well-positioned plan. I know there'll be a certain amount of complaining about, gee, what are these black things sitting above the water, but that's too bad. In my opinion, you can't have oysters without having oyster farms very well. The guy from Cuddy Hunt commented when we were so negative about the experimental spots. We were negative on them, not because they were experimental or because of oysters, but because of their locations. He said, everyone likes my oysters. No one likes to see my farm. It's sort of like no one likes to go to the slaughterhouse either. So I don't think these are a slaughterhouse by any stretch. And they're not inordinately ugly in my mind. They are functional. I personally am in favor of this motion. So that said, let's start with the bottom of the list going backwards because that's where we're going to do it. Jason.
Made the motion.
Yep. And you're aye?
Aye.
Okay. Phyllis.
Aye.
Charles.
Abstain.
Okay. Paul.
Aye.
Andy.
In favor.
Greg. Greg Banner.
All right, mute button. Aye.
Okay, Dave Stewart, has he gotten back on with us? All right, we'll pass over him.
Aye.
Oh, okay, there you are.
Sorry.
Aye, and the chair votes aye as well. So it's not quite unanimous. Charles Lawrence abstained. He was not negative, but he abstained. You got that vote, Craig?
I'm
So
trying to type and get to the mute button too, but yep, I got it.
thank you. I have a quick question for CRMC Coastal relative to the, and this is not a matter of, this is a matter of public comment or question, Ben. What's going on with the Morin Brothers application down at the south end there, down by the bridge?
The Bowen brothers? Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so they've moved through the review with the Marine Fisheries Council, which interestingly kind of had a deadlock of a vote. So they neither objected nor recommended, I'd say. So in which case it would be proceeding to a full council hearing. We've had one written objection on the record in addition to the harbor management's letter, and it will be heard at some point in the future. It's uncertain when that will be. It probably won't be for a while, a couple months, is my guess.
Okay, and as the contact person for the town, I'll receive specific notice on that, right?
Yes, as the commission requested, the town will be notified of the hearing.
Right. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Brad and Travis, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Okay, on to our other business now. Going back to the normal sequence of the agenda, we have correspondence. The correspondence that we have is actually none coming to us. I have sent the 2 letters to the DPW relative to Jack's Island and the Stonebridge dock system. They were late in getting out, so I haven't received a response, but I'm not surprised at that at all. I'll share them with the commission at the next meeting. And I have one letter that I prepared, but that's for later on in the agenda. The Seapowet and I guess at this point in time, any public comment? Comments cannot be taken during public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Sea level rise. Chip Lawrence.
I don't know if you've seen it, but the Arctic has melted out, probably reached the record for least ice in the summer. They had 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Russia, 400 miles north of Anchorage. So climate change keeps coming. And, we've said before, it's fogland that's at most at risk. And luckily, steps have been taken to try to allow the Seapowet Marsh to expand the way it naturally would. So that's where we are with it. And I don't know what options we're going to have to do to just about fogland in particular. And of course, as I've said and shown before, we get a big storm and it comes up as it is, it's going to be more than that. It'll be at Stonebridge, it'll be further up, and several other places it will flood very seriously. So what we can do, I guess, is figure out what solutions might be available for fogland, or alternatively accept it's just going to become an island.
Bring it to the town fathers and mothers' attentions that they have an issue that they're going to have to deal with regards to fogland. I have noticed that we have what it seems to me a greater number of king tides, which are the 5-footers, than we have in the past. I've noticed it because I have to adjust my float, quite honestly. I have to hoist it further than my pier. Much to my chagrin. We had talked about the possibility of trying to get the town council out to Fogland to see that. Does anyone have a computer program more sophisticated than my simple little Navionics that gives us the projection of the large tides that are coming in the future, month or two? Although certainly Fogland Beach in the January, December months is not exactly enticing. What I'm thinking is a daytime, king tide, 5-footer that might be out there. That'd be an appropriate time to invite the town council and say, this is an appropriate time to see what we're talking about.
So I can investigate the tides and figure out when the next king tide may occur, during daylight hours.
Okay. When you figure that out, get that to me, and we can see if we can get an invitation out to the town council to have a single item and say, here's what you're looking at.
Yep, they see it pretty high. Just stand there where you get onto the back beach. You can see it's not much further it has to come.
Mm-hmm.
And as Peter's pointed out, sometimes the road just floods. He's got to drive through flood water to get out already.
Right. No, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And when that happens too, with all those houses down Riverside Drive, we'll be in the same situation where the water will be slapping their floors. The road down there on Riverside Drive north would probably be covered. It's only 2 feet above mean high tide now, so they'd have to think about another way. I'm sure there's other ways to access those properties down there, but the ones on the west side of the road will be probably no more at that point, unless they put them on pillars.
Well, they'll have a hard time getting to them.
Yeah.
Right. I believe that's in the record, the maps that I shared with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that show what the tides are going to become, if what the levels will become if we have a substantial storm with so much rise in sea level.
No, that we've seen. We've now got to try to bring it to the attention of the powers that be so they can start trying to think about what they need to do, if anything.
Right. One thing Rhode Island has done is prepare those maps.
Alrighty.
To tell you, I volunteered to join with the Rhode Island effort of sea level rise, and hopefully I can bring my expertise in probability statistics and in climate change to bear. And they haven't yet told me whether they'll have something for me to do. I'm going to retire in the end of the month, and then I'll have time to do that.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
That means we can put you to work.
Okay, especially if it's about climate change. I'm there.
Right. No, I mean, in general, to try to get, that's what my fear is, that the town council not even really fathoming the degree of impact that sea level rise is going to have on the likes of Fogland. Okay. So we've sent, if we're all set with sea level rise, I've sent the letters to DPW relative to Jack's Island and the Stonebridge abutment. So I think that'll address those two things at this point in time. Andy, any further luck with regards to translating the US Geological Survey? You're still muted.
Sorry about that. I have to admit, I did not touch it this month, so I have nothing to report.
Understood. Yeah, interesting month. Alrighty, flood mitigation grant pole straps. I reached out to these gentlemen and been unsuccessful, but my schedule has been such that I can't tell you I reached out more than once. I did reach out. I think a lot of people are dealing with the COVID issue. Aquaculture ordinances, as is that, it would be actually part and parcel, I think, with the harbor management plan and trying to coordinate that. And again, we have to do a breakout on the harbor management plan as to different sections that would make sense for people to apply to. These holidays are tough. So I think we got passes on those. Item G3, which is the harbor master recommendation to the town council, that was popped on me the other day just before I was putting the agenda out. We can take this in executive session, Tyler, if you want to have us pat you on the back there, or at least me pat you on the back there, or we can keep it open. The choice is yours. Still with us, Tyler? Okay, you're really badly broken up. Yeah, you're really badly broken up. Oops, wrong party. Okay, I see. It doesn't matter to you either way. I just saw your note. Okay. Well, the town council was supposed to do this spring and they didn't. They were distracted by this small thing called COVID, I guess. Does anyone, I have prepared a letter because I happen to think that Tyler's done a good job. It's a very good job in trying situations. And basically need an approval of the commission to send a letter to Chris Cotta in the morning saying, we think Tyler's done a good job.
I agree.
Does anyone disagree with Dave Stewart?
I agree.
I agree.
No, I agree with Dave Stewart.
Good.
I agree.
Tyler does a good job.
So I don't think we need a vote on it, but I think we can send by consensus that the commissioners said yes. The last item on the agenda is the calendar, which would have put the darn thing. Oddly enough, they all seem to fall appropriately. That's probably right here, you know what I mean? There it is. So pull out your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, and walk through this with me. I see us meeting on January 4th, unless people think that they're going to be still recovering. I would hope not, but those days are gone for me in terms of that length of recovery. College days were a different thing, perhaps. February 1st. Anyone have any problem with a February 1st meeting?
You said January 4th. I have January 7th. Or did I mishear you?
No, January 4th would be the first Monday.
I'm looking at, you sure you're looking at the right year?
2021 on my iPhone, yeah.
Whoa, something's wrong.
That's
What am I
so funny.
looking
I
at?
have it on the 7th too on my calendar, which is a Thursday.
January 4th would be the first Monday in 2021.
I'm going to look at my phone because right now I'm looking at my computer and it says January 7th.
Is the first Monday of
Wow.
2021?
Wow. This is weird. I've got Google Earth. I mean, I've got Google Calendar on both and it has different dates. Let me refresh this one. Phyllis, you have the 7th as well?
No, the thing that's weird is I already have it in my calendar that it's on the 7th. So I don't even know how it got in there on the 7th, which is a Thursday. Because remember, I thought it was maybe on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Okay. I just refreshed and my calendar now has January 4th as that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Let me go back to December and make sure that that's okay.
Can I make a motion not to use Andy's calendar?
I would consider that. Oh, you know what it was? It was showing December's dates, but it had January listed at the top. That was the strangest thing. Because obviously today's the 7th. Okay.
Yeah.
Phyllis, I don't know about you, but
You know
just
what
try
I think?
and
Yeah, I think and when I put this in here, I was saying to do the repeat every month. And what it did was it repeated not on the Monday, it repeated that 7th.
Ah,
So that's what it did for January. That's why I put it on the 7th.
yeah.
yeah.
And I bet you that it did the same thing. So yeah, since the calendar, usually that doesn't happen. It knows exactly because I do that all the time for monthly meetings.
Sure. So the next one will be February 1st. And then March 1st. Then April 5. Then May 3rd. Then June 7th. Then July 5, recognizing that's 4th of July vacation week for many people too.
Let's change that.
You want to change that? I oftentimes take the second week of July if I haven't voted in my family about it, but that's all right. I'll put you in charge, Dave.
No, thanks.
You want to make it, would people prefer to avoid the 4th of July weekend and go to July 12th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
Okay. July 12th. Chip, you're currently muted. Next would be August 2nd. People good with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Then September 6th. No, I got 6. That's the Labor Day weekend. I'm sorry. September 13th.
Okay.
Then October 4th. November 1st. And then December 6th. People good with all that?
Yep.
Yep.
The only date we're going to change is to the July meeting. We're going to make it July 12th. And life is good.
July 12th. Did you say July and
September.
Labor Day, September?
Yeah, it's September 13th.
September 13th, yeah.
That's what I actually had on my roster here because the 6th is Labor Day weekend. Okay. So that's some housekeeping. Any other comments or actions, motions for the good of the order, as it were? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
All right.
All those in favor say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Be cool.